I don't know how long I was offline. Hopefully not too long. Um, Yeesh. Well, hopefully it won't be too long before this is back up for you guys. But I'll just kind of pick up where I left off and hope you guys pick up. um, so the thing, Angelic Vanguard, is this makes a lot more sense to me because I have a lot of context to work within. I've worked with this before, and I've also not been kind of out of the loop in game development for so long, or for too long. So all of this has a certain context to me. So even though I'm sitting here talking continuously and hopefully helping those of you watching understand what I'm going for here, I do see how it can be a little difficult. And if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask. I'm here not just for my own, to hear myself talk, but I'm also here to help you guys kind of understand, at the bare minimum, good game programming techniques and maybe some cool programming tricks we can do, such as this stringify is a really cool trick you can do to ensure that all of your enumerations match strings one for one. So, yeah, this will look a little crazy, but it hopefully my reasoning makes sense. And while you may not understand the exact code that's going on, if you think you're missing something, feel free to ask, and I will do my best to kind of explain what I feel like I'm missing. Alright, one second. I realized I forgot to give the dog his standard treat when I stream, just so he keeps himself a little organized. Hey dog. Apollo. There you go. There you go. Good boy. There he goes. Happy as can be. Happiest corgi you've ever seen. You hand him that stupid bone, and the stub wiggles, and he just lights up. He loves destroying that thing. And then he leaves it in little bits all over my living room floor, which is great. That's how you know he's having a good time. The bits and pieces left behind. Alright, back to work. So some of this information is going to be obvious, and some of this information is stuff that it's stuff that's general for all the biomes. You're using a pound define for stringify. Why not an inline function for debug purposes? Because it's a simple enough function that I don't mind having a stringify in there, just a straight up preprocessor. If it was doing something a little more complex, then maybe I'd probably want an inline function. But in this case, it's a simple enough thing that I'm not too worried about it. One sec, dog whining. Curious about what's up. Sorry about that. He's got a lot more energy because it's been raining. And it's unfortunately been somewhat difficult to get him the exercise that he needs. Granted, after this stream, we will probably go out for a nice bit of exercise. I have to say long words because if I say the WALK sound, he understands, which is frightening. So anyway, let's pull out, we have our biome info container, and we can actually grab a pointer. Biome info containers. Let's see, we'll just call this the info container. Plus, okay. Interesting. we're going to have to grab an offset here. And the offset, okay, here we go. The offset is going to have to be offset's going to be based on which of these compare texts it is. So we're going to do, I like how I do this. There we go. We create the integer, and if we can't find it, we're just going to return garbage. But otherwise, we can actually do a bunch of very simple inline, not inline, but some very simple comparisons. Biome type string, if it's k biome forest, then the offset equals k biome forest. And finally, one more else if, just for good measure, because I don't want to have to come back here again and fuck with this. Ooh, excuse my language. Futz with this. I try not to cuss when I can. It's ever so often something kind of sneaks out like that, though. I don't know why. It's not like I need to swear. It just kind of happens. All right. Plus offset. Okay. And then the rest of this should be something that we can deal with fairly easily, because the info container pointer, we can then do things like, okay, let's see. We should call its constructor probably at some point. Well, no, these are static objects, and static objects are always default constructed, which is unfortunate for us. We might be able to just recall the constructor anyway. Biome info container might. I say might. So it'd be our offset. And then the height multiplier would be something we have to actually pull out of the file. So for example, we'd say data structure get data element. Get first substructure. We're close, but not quite. Man, this is the only thing, is learning a new subsystem, while interesting, it's also kind of difficult. Let's see what our file looks like. Okay, we want to float. That is our height multiplier. Oof. And when we process data, okay, for each data structure, and a data structure will be a single one of these biome data structures. Interesting that we have this data description and data structure, and I have a bad feeling I should be using this data description a little more clearly to fill in the information that we're missing. But I'm learning, so let's see. Maybe if we look up its use case somewhere else in the engine, maybe we can come up with something that is more helpful. Okay, this looks nice. I like this. This holds a bunch of very different information pieces. You'll notice we've got what is essentially a string. We've got some floating point numbers, and we've got a 32-bit int, and then this list of arbitrary other structures. I love it. This should be fantastic. If I can find the usages of this, it should be much better. Okay, so inside a metric structure, okay, maybe we can find a different use that's a little more helpful. Metric key. Okay, so it looks like we can grab one of these data structures, cast it to a type. So right now you take a standard structure and then you cast it out to a data structure of floating data type pointers. Or actually, no, it's just a data structure of floating data types. Float data type. Interesting. What are you? Welcome to the world of programming. You spend a lot of time digging through other people's code and wondering, what the heck does this actually do? Okay, so it looks like I should be able to find things by key. I'm just curious where this key comes in. Okay, key is part of a property. And it's part of a property of a metric structure. Okay, this is where all those other properties that we've written should come into play. So I'm actually going to close these two down. And what we're going to do, actually, I wonder if I can run this and watch and see what it does. Oh gosh, I have a whole bunch of things I've done, and it looks like I haven't... Yeah, it looks like I haven't finished my work in a lot of places. Oh boy. Okay, we're gonna comment all this out. What else? Let's get this compiling real quick. No default constructor exists. That's unfortunate. We can fix that though. Specifically in that we can... I hate to do this, but I'm gonna rip this out. Oh, I'm down to 63 errors very quickly. Cell biome. Okay. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty stuff at this point, which is good. Okay, so when we tell it to generate a mesh, a cell is going to have a cell type. Let's see. Generate mesh. The world manager is the one who calls this. And what I think we need to do is the world manager or the cell, one of the two, and I'm not quite sure who, but one of them should dip into that biome information container and pull the information out of it to get what it needs. Let's try it in the cell first. Dog, what are you doing over there? Oh, and that's my phone. What the heck? Sorry guys, gotta take... It's my mama. Sorry about that, guys. My mother. I love her so much, but she talks a lot sometimes. How it goes. Oh well. The joy of having a wonderful family. I am very, very blessed and happy that my mom thinks to call me and ask how my dog is doing. The little booger. Alright, generating mesh. Where was I? I was figuring out where this function came from so that I could remove this information from it. And what we're going to do, where this color palette exists right now, we're going to grab a piece of information before we do all this. That's going to be that biome info container. We'll just call it biome info. And it's going to be the biome info containers, and we're going to pump into it the biome type that we currently are. And that should be enough information for us to call get color at height. Good. Good, good, good. This is much better, much simpler. You notice we're passing less information around. Oof, that's still a lot of errors. That's fine though. You'll notice we're passing less information around, and that this is static data that everyone should have access to, and it's something we're only going to load in once. So we're not even going to worry about it for this cases here, where all of the stuff that is in here is not specific to one cell. So we don't really mind it being in this, what is essentially going to be a global variable. It's essentially a bunch of constants that we're going to just load in at runtime, and that we don't want sitting inside the code, because it will not bloat the code, but it causes the code to be a little less flexible if we were to make them all constants. Okay, let's try and finish off get world elevation. Okay, world. Oof. Where is the... Okay, it's in the cell. Dang it. So this is kind of what I was afraid of. This is definitely what I was afraid of. The other users of elevation. So this one is fine. I'm actually not worried about this one so much. Specifically, CellGraph should be able to access that information. So let's do that. Let's make this a friend class. Friend class CellGraph. Just so the CellGraph can access some of these inner variables. This we don't care for so much. There we go. And we've got some final things in here. Oh, right. We never finished writing this function. See, this is the thing. I start at one point, I'll then make a new point, a new point, a new point. I keep getting distracted by new things, and then I have to wrap them up almost recursively back down the line. And when I forget to do that, is when we run into trouble. So, we want a minimum multiplier, and that's going to be k, so negative k infinity. Is there like a no, infinity. And then we're also going to want a maximum multiplier, which is going to be, oh, actually, I should swap these. C4K negative infinity. How long have I been working on this? Tenanet, I've been working on this since November of last year. So, what, November, December, January, February? So 4 months now? Not bad. 4 int I equals 0, I is less than k biome count. So what we're going to do is we're going to look through all those biome containers. And see, remember how before, if you look at our old code, we were doing this very manually. Right? We said, oh, if the biome is this, then do this. If the biome is this, then do this. No, ugly. That is complete fugly code. Hard coding all that was the worst thing I could have done. Instead, we're going to jump into the biome info containers, and we're just going to say, get the height multiplier. Float height multiplier. And then we're just going to check it against these other multipliers we have. So the minimum multiplier is going to take the smallest number between itself and the height multiplier. And then the max multiplier is going to do the same thing, but it's going to take the largest number between itself and the height multiplier. So we can throw this code out. And in fact, for getting the maximum, let's just do one thing at a time here. Yeah, that should be good. And then we're going to return that maximum multiplier. Ta-da! Nice and easy. Except that this function apparently doesn't actually exist. At least not yet. Ugh, we got so much code flying around. Train generation dot h. And we'll want a terrain minimum height as well. And the terrain min height is just as simple as this. We just have to do a little inversion here. Did I do max? No, I did min first. Good. So min height, we're going to start at infinity instead of negative infinity. And what we're going to do is instead of testing the max, we're going to test the min of our own number and the existing ones. Whew. Alright, 11 errors left. Almost done. Almost done. C.elevation. Okay, this is something I have to keep thinking about. Because this is going well. I like this. The only thing, in fact, let's clean this up while we're in the midst of all this. Right? We go into the biome info containers, we get the biome, and then we say, what's the height multiplier? And you'll notice that when I open this up, when I look at the IntelliSense for it, I don't have access to anything but some basic getter functions and this one setter, which I might actually end up removing if I can help it. I would really like to remove this setter and just put it as a private setter and then add friend access to someone else. Right, so we're still stuck on this though. The place in which we set the terrain height. Hi dog. Where's your toy? You destroy it? I would be amazed. That thing was huge. And if my dog destroyed it already... But he's just kind of wandering around the house without a care, so I'm going to assume he just, like... Nom nom nom. So this is a bizarre setup. I think I'm gonna have to just make a setter for this. I don't really have a much better way to do that. void set cell elevation. Int elevation. I almost wrote const. That would be dumb. E elevation equals E. And the reason I can use a short little like one letter variable name here, and when I normally would get on, say, somebody's case about having short variable names, is because this function, the function name is obvious, and there's only one variable in here. And then also, if you look at this, there's no real easy way to say elevation in one word without changing it. So it kind of makes sense to do that right now. Because coding isn't all about just kind of like robotically doing the same thing every time. You have to think a little bit, especially when it comes to other people using your code. You find very quickly, set cell elevation to this. You find very quickly that other people are really bad at reading other people's code. It happens a lot. If you get handed code, it takes a long time for you to actually read through all that code. Contains water is also something that a cell void set contains water. Contains water is true. And then bool contains water. Void const returns water. Nice and simple. There we go. We're just fixing up all the we moved some variables into a private space, and we're just doing some quick code recovery to make sure that everything here works. Okay, this exists in our game tool. If it's greater than 0, get cell elevation, get cell elevation. If that, there we go. That's all fixed up. That should remove a couple more errors. We're down to our last, what, half dozen? A little more. So this should be a get world position. My only problem right now is this. Oh man. This is causing me more pain than I thought it would. I thought this would be a much easier thing. So I think this is going to be either something that lives in the world, not the elevation, sorry, but the just to speak my mind clearly, this, where the heck did I even hide it? Oh man. Great, I can't even find my own constant. Really? Where did I put it? Oh, I probably put it in game world. Yeah, this. So I've got this constant here, and it lives, oops, sorry dog. It lives in this game world class, and that's good. I like this placement. But here's the big thing. This constant is not accessible in some interesting places that I really wish it were accessible from. So I've made it accessible to the world generator easily enough. But then making it accessible to a bunch of these other places is actually turning out to be difficult. For example, this actually, let's make that 0, because we can use cell height easily enough. So some of these are nice and simple, right? We say get cell elevation, and if it's less than 0, in fact we can say if it's less than or equal to 0, that's simple. And then we say contains water, set contains water. Right? Easy enough. But then this, okay, this requires, man. So once again, we're passing a lot of information around, and I'm thinking that the game world might just have to hold a float, which is our, what is this? This is our terrain height multiplier. Yeah, let's try putting it in here instead of keeping it as a constant here and see if that helps. It might not. So right now, for now, we're just going to make that 1. The generator, this is once again inside game world, so this is going to be easy. We just say terrain height multiplier. Elevation, okay. So we're going to say get world elevation. We're going to go into the game world and say get terrain height multiplier. That's a long function name. We'll see if I can think of an easy way to shorten that, but nothing's coming to mind terribly easily. Terrain height multiplier. Terrain height mult? Is this still obvious? No, multiplier. Multiplier is the most obvious thing. And it's only the height of the terrain that's getting modified. Get height multiplier? No. Get ground? No. Okay, it's just got to be a long name, I guess. Unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Minus get world elevation, specifically using the game world get terrain height multiplier. Terrain height factor. Factor's a little shorter. A little bit, and I like it. I'll keep thinking about that. I like it. Factor. Terrain height factor. Terrain Y multiplier. Yeah, that would. Ooh, that's a good one. Water limon. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's do that. Let's at least start with that. Terrain Y factor. Ooh, see? I start pointing at my screen instead of at the camera. Maybe we could put the two together. Get something a little more helpful. Terrain Y multiplier. Yeah. Let's just bring everything here in line so we shorten it all at once instead of shortening like one thing somewhere. And cell, you want multipliers, fine. I'll keep multiplier, factor. I'll keep multiplier here for now, just for now. Get cell elevation. Also, I just realized, where's the water function? Create water geometry. Says if it's less than or equal to, it will then contain water. It's easier for us to say contains water. Oh, and the cell doesn't contain water. Whoops. That's obvious. Alright, where else? Where else? World generation. This is easy. Easy peasy. Get world elevation. And where's that multiplier? It's in our game world. Get terrain Y multiplier. I like it. That's sexy. Okay. You are still named after the old function. And I require more coffee. Cell contains water equals false. And finally, you are also named after that old function that we don't have anymore, because we shortened it. Okay, it's been a while coming. Okay, already I saw that taking way too long, and I forgot to put some breakpoints in where I meant to. So I'm gonna close some stuff just so I can find what I need in here. Specifically, let's look at this info container code. We want to make sure this data file is getting read in correctly, otherwise a lot of stuff breaks. A lot of stuff, in fact. I'm just going to dump breakpoints like all over this thing, just so we can see exactly what's going on. Validate top level structure, sure. Biome, yeah, sure. I wonder if I had to do any registration anywhere with any of that other data, or if this all, oh, that's the other thing I didn't even think of until now. We're not actually calling this from anywhere, and that's kind of a big deal. Execute names. We also, let's see here, not just game data description, we want the biome data description. We want to call execute on, what did I name it? Biomes. This actually tells us when we need to load this information in. So this right here, I know you guys haven't really seen much of the game class. This is the primary class that the engine uses to determine a lot of information, which is why you'll notice I'm spending a lot of time keeping it small. Look at how tiny this thing is. I don't want, this is a really easy place because everything is a hub to this, or sorry, this is a hub to everything. So I want to make sure, no matter what, that this stays small, right? The fact that these two functions are here is almost more than I want to have in here, but I haven't removed them yet. In fact, this locator registration might be able to bug off as well. Do I even use that? Markers, H file. No, I don't. Let's get rid of it. I'm constantly ripping things out of this class, if I can help it. Because if you have a giant monolithic game class, that's going to span your entire game. And that would take up a lot of memory for us, because this is something that exists all the time. Say, for example, I load a game level, and then close it, and load another one, and close it, and load another one, and close it. No matter how many times I do that, this game class can't expand. This is a really quick and easy way to fail a bunch of console tests. If you eat up memory fast enough, you will run out of RAM in certain consoles pretty quickly and easily. They'll call it a memory leak, and then they'll just say, yeah, you just kind of ran out of memory, and that's that. All right. Pound include. Wow. Let's try that again, fingers. Biome info container. And also C comes before D, so I don't understand why those were in the wrong order. All right. Are you happy? You're happy. Cool. I'm going to put a breakpoint here as well. And you'll notice this is getting loaded up before a window even appears. So this is before we've even told it load a level. This is information, remember, that it's constant across the game, which is why we're loading it in so freaking early. Alright, so we execute the resource if it exists, which it does. We create this game data description class. And we are going to tell it to process all the text that exists in here. Specifically, okay, we have a biome info object. So we're going to construct a new data structure for that. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time digging through their code. I just want to see what my code's doing. because I know theirs works, and I'll only start digging through theirs if my understanding of what's happening is different from what's actually happening in the code. The moment those two start to diverge, that's when I kind of go, maybe I should watch them execute their code, just so I know what's going on. Much better. I love having coffee. It's a fantastic way. Okay, once again, just checking a basic return value and then stepping back out. Okay, the type is a string, and you'll notice our value here. This is our string before, and we're handing it a pointer to the string. And we're telling it this is what you're going to fill in with that value. So we validated the property. Good. And then we say we need to make a new structure. Okay. Interesting. So the data description needs to understand all the different types here. Right now we only have one type, so it's going to error out. You'll notice we're about to return a null pointer, and that's going to give us an error in the system. Now, let's see, does that pop up anywhere? No. Ugh. That's kind of unfortunate. I do wish that that showed up as an error somewhere. I wonder if I can do an error check. Maybe out here when I call execute. Okay, let's do that. If it's not equal to c4k data, okay. And we're just going to error check both of these very quickly, just to ensure that this all works. Have I considered writing unit tests? No. The engine code works. As far as I can tell, I shouldn't need a unit test for this simple data file reading, because even though that's something that a unit test would work very well for, it is not code that I own. Therefore, I'm not going to write unit tests for it. It would be a waste of my time, specifically because I don't know the code well enough to fix it if a unit test did fail, and also because the unit tests I would be writing would not test every single case. I would just be testing the cases that mattered to me, and in that case, it's not too terribly helpful. It's better for me to debug it, get it working, and then just kind of go hands off with it. If I were part of a big company, I would consider writing unit tests for this, even if it wasn't my code. But here, it's a matter of what would I rather have. Would I rather have another small feature added to the game, or would I rather have these unit tests in? And at this point in my development, I want as many features in as possible, as quickly as possible, so that I can show this game is fun and that I'm not just wasting my time programming a heaping pile of crap. So, for the engine report error reading name file names.cfg names config file, and we are going to tell it k-report error. In fact, I'm not even gonna, we'll just one-line those. We're gonna do the same thing here. If this is not equal, k, come on fingers. I know I've been working you a lot lately, especially with the whole resume and cover letter writing, but error reading biomes.cfg file. And I don't even need to say file. It's kind of obvious it's a file, right? C4 K data or K report error. I should probably put the error type in here too, just to liven this up. So we'll say this. Okay. C4 K data result. Oh, not K, just data result. Equals this. If the biome result biome data result. I like that better. Plus biome data result. Cool. And we'll just copy, paste, and we'll change this from biome to name data result. Names. Surf and Turd, thanks for reading the stream description. I just got to your chat thing. Yeah, RTS survival, and you'll see it more in a little bit after I'm done. I'm doing a big rewrite right now, which is not my normal thing, but it's also something that was necessary because the gameplay was suffering due to my previous choices in terrain algorithms. Okay, watch that. Let's see if this errors out for me. I'm just going to hit F5, kind of blast through my breakpoints real quick. Interesting. Error reading names. Looks like there was... Also, I need to put a space after this, apparently. Let's put this... Error number... Error number... Or I guess I should say error code. Right, because these are error codes. I wonder what this is actually returning. Now, okay, so this. Let's see here. Int 32 to character string. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Let's see if we can find some data error codes just to see what the heck it is returning. Let's see. What was our... Oh, crap. I, of course... Oh, I didn't close it. 139.803. 5780. One 803. 139.803. Nope. I guess I should look at the other end. The okay. The 139.803 though, it starts with ST. And then 5780. This is the one thing I really don't like about this identifier system. 989. Ugh. I'm close. 989. Is that it? No, it's 780. What? What's going on here, guys? Where's my error? 139.803. 139.803, yes. 2726. So it starts with, okay, it starts with S, I should say. I guess I shouldn't say 780. Okay. K data structure undefined. So in both cases, really? Really? I didn't know my names file was actually running into... Oh. Oh my god. Guys, I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. Alright, game data description. I do this a lot. Surf and Turd, the way I do this is I have a stream running and a bunch of people judging me as I write my code. No, in all seriousness, this is my passion. This is what I love to do. I love writing code. Think of it like a jigsaw puzzle that tells a computer what to do when you're done, right? In fact, I saw a really cool video. Somebody, let's see, can I find that? Ooh, I hope I can find it. I had a long discussion with a friend about how the heck this was working. Somebody was writing code using MS Paint. Oh man. now I really want to find that. I swear, I put the link somewhere. Here it is. Here it is. So please, for anyone who likes to program, check the link out, because that's cool. It's somebody programming. He writes Hello World using MS Paint. Alright? You're programming, writing MS Paint. Think about that for a second. Voodoo indeed. It's insane and really cool. And once you think about it, it's not hard to understand. But, anyway. I do it because I enjoy it. That's why. This is a really cool thing. I can entertain people by writing code. This is something I'm good at, and it's something that people enjoy playing, hopefully, when I'm done. Whoops, and I just... Okay, I really need to start using an IRC chat channel for chat, because I keep accidentally hitting F5, and it refreshes my entire chat window. Darn it. I gotta stop doing that. Oh well. My chat will be back up in a minute, guys. If you say anything, I may miss it. I'll let you know when it's back. Okay, so the name result looks okay now. Good. Okay, so we load the resource. So the resource is loading fine. In fact, I'm going to go so far as to remove this breakpoint. This bit of code works. Chat, really? Come on, Twitch. I want my chat window back. That's it. There we go. Please? I asked nicely. There we go. There we go. Dang, that's a lot of people in this chat room, by the way. How many people are in here? Why would you guys... What are you doing on a weekend? Why are you watching me? Why are 65 of you? Wow. Thank you very much, guys. In fact, my phone keeps going off as the followers keep adding to the list. There we go. I don't know what I missed, but my chat's back up. Alright, let's get back to this. Okay, so we have the biome info the first time. That's good. Now, remember, we added another couple structures. We need this color specifier structure in here. There we go. So this color specifier... Gosh darn it, phone. You guys must love me. Thank you very much for following. I'm really glad for those of you who haven't followed me yet, or who are, you know, first-time watchers, that you're enjoying what I'm doing. If you have any comments about what I could do better, what you enjoy, any of that, please let me know. Alright. So if the identifier is not the biome info, but we need to create this color specifier. And just to keep with, yeah, this would be a color specifier data structure. That's a long name, but color specifier data structure. Nope, don't do that. Well, thank you, Krawfik. I quite like my mug as well. It holds quite a lot of coffee, because I need quite a lot of caffeine to keep running sometimes. See, and it's got vines. Let's see here, vines, and it's got birdies. I like the birds. It's also just friggin' huge, right? This thing's like the size of my face, it looks like on camera. Granted, it's actually only like part the size of my face, but I am getting distracted. MS Paint kind of reminds me of how we would change the file extension of a zip to get it past our email filters. Yeah, I did that a lot. But the coding in MS Paint was pretty cool. Just think about it for a moment. If you're a programmer and you understand how a raw data structure, a raw color structure looks, it shouldn't be too hard to understand how the actual coding in MS Paint works. You just have to kind of keep in mind how it goes. And it should become very clear very quickly how you can write. Actually, I could write my entire game in MS Paint. I'd rather not, honestly, and that's fine. Actually, let's just try something. No, it wouldn't work because it doesn't have the bitmap file header. I was tempted to try and open one of my files in Paint, but no, that won't work. Not unless I have a bitmap header at the beginning of it as well. Now, granted, with a little work, I could make any of my code files openable in MS Paint. And that might be something cool we do on, like, April Fool's Day or something. But for now, let's keep off of that. We need the color specifier data structure. And there aren't any properties. There's nothing to store. So I can just very simply do this. Validate property, validate substructure. All of this should be very, very stupidly simple. Even simpler than the, let's see, data description, data structure. Here. Start here. Go to the bottom, copy, paste. So these nested things are a little difficult. I'll have to think on this a little more. We have a new structure, structure color spec, or specifier. Oh, let's not get lazy. Structure color specifier. Sure. Yeah. In fact, I don't know why I have a destructor specifically for this. It's not like I need one. Same can be said for the biome data. I thought the script was complicated. You have like 10 others. How? I guess I don't understand what you're talking about, Surf and Turd. Please elaborate. I would like to know what you were talking about. In fact, what's the standard validate property function do? What's the standard just does nothing else? You just return false. So if I don't overwrite this, although then again there shouldn't be any properties attached to it, so let's just remove the stuff we don't need. Oh wait, no, but there is a property. Oh crap. Private. Remember, we did actually attach a property to this, right? Here's our color specifier. Oh. Let's think about this. Let's consider this. I think they mean I have a lot of files in my code. Oh, I got a lot of files. Look at this data structure right here. Or this file structure. That's a lot of files. Let's delete the ones I'm not using. Right? Make this a little more obvious. But there. Ta-da! Lots of files. And that's just my game code, right? This, what? How many files here? 42 files. I don't even want to know how many are in the engine code. 301 in the engine code. It's lovely. Anyway, this is what you get when you work in big engines, though. When you work in an engine like this, especially 3D engines, you find that the code base goes up very quickly. So what I think I'm going to do, let's try this. Float. And then we're going to go 0.9, 0.9, 0.2. I don't think I need to nest this as much as I was doing before. In fact, I think I was nesting it way too much.
So let's undo some of that nesting and make this a simpler job for us. Kind of, I overdid it. I always overthink things. Every once in a while, it's nice to have somebody just kind of give you a boot to the head and say, hey, quit it. Come on. Back to reality here. Height value. And when you validate the property, if the identifier is height, data float, yep, and then we are going to return into it the height value, and that's good. Is there anything else we want to stash in here? When we process the data, let's swap the class type here. The data structures should be data floats, right? We don't want them to muck up our data type here. And all of this information can bugger off. More breakpoints. That's what we need. More breakpoints. And we need to create a color out of this stuff. Because we have the height, remember? So what we need to do... Oh gosh, we need to... Wow, can I not spell that poorly? Structure. There we go. Even though it was just off by a letter, it's still a pain to see my spelling when it's suffering. I'd blame the coffee, but I know it's not the case. Alright. Specifier height. The only thing left really here is that we need to make sure that the new piece of information ends up inside this structure. And that's something I have to think about. Ooh. Cannot define a compiler-generated special member function. That's fine. Yeah, I rely on Google. I also rely on just spell check, or I use swipe on my phone, so it's not like I ever run into a case of like, oh, I don't know how this information works. No, I always do. Oop, I just realized, is there another validate substructure? Okay. Validate top level structure. And then I should probably have a validate substructure function as well. Probably. Interesting. Okay. So we validate our property, we pass the biome type string in, completely expected. I'm not going to keep going through this because that's overkill. We parse through the properties, which is fine. White space, primitive. Okay, parse structures. Read the identifier, which is a color specifier. Okay. Construct. Okay, it's not a primitive. I actually don't need to be digging through this once again, because there we go. Code works as expected. Validate substructure.
substructure is a string, and it says, ah, that is incorrect. Okay, so this validates substructure. This shouldn't read string, because if you look at the actual substructure, it's a color specifier. If it's... I wonder if there's any way to get any more information out of this structure. Get base structure type. First subnode, first substructure. Okay, let's do this the right way. What we need to do is we need to check that a certain number of color specifiers exist. As long as one exists, we don't really care. Right, so for structure, and this should actually be structure, come on. Const structure pointer structure. This should be a data structure. There we go. I'm sorry guys, I've never really fought with this before. If the structure, let's see. When we say validate substructure, I can only assume, okay, we're going to assume that color specifier can check its own substructure. We don't actually care about that. It's the fact that it contains one or more color specifiers, and then this boolean and this float, and that's it. That's number one. Okay, so equals this. Wow. Get parent structure, get root structure, get first substructure. But these are passing nodes around, not... I wish I could look around in the structure setup. Oh well. Subtree node count. Like, it's got this weird mixture of nodes. Water limon, that is not what I want to do. Oh my god. That would just really mess with me. It would fix my spelling problem, but... Guys, I'm out. I'm out of coffee. Alright, okay. I'm gonna look at the definition of class, of the structure class. It is a tree of structures and a map element of structures, of which it then proceeds to define what? What is it defining? We have a structure type, we have a base type, we have a name, a global name flag. Interesting. Oh, this is the... Okay, this is the name so that we can use references. Cool. And then the location in the text file. And then when we say stuff like get first substructure, what are we doing? Get first structure. Structure equals type. Return. Oh, it gets the first substructure of a certain type. Got it. Got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Okay. This get first substructure of a given type. It's not just the first substructure. So we say k structure. So if it contains a color specifier, then we're good. C4, probably a const as well, is it? No. Structure pointer, color specifier structure is this. I don't think I need structure on the end of this. Just color specifier is fine. So, okay, it contains a color specifier. Check. Also, get first substructure, whose type is k structure float. Oh, I have to pop into the C4 namespace though. Okay. Get first substructure C4K data float. Would that work? I don't honestly know. Get first substructure or subnode. Get. See, this is the joy of working with code. It's not that I haven't worked with it before, it's just that my workings with it have been so light that I'm spending a lot of time looking at the IntelliSense and kind of hoping that the code that I'm wanting to use, or the code that I'm wanting to find, is in here somewhere. So, I need to contain a color specifier and then bools and floats. Does this substructure get called more than once? History, you contain a string. Yeah, that's nice. Where does this get called? I guess specifically, how many times does this get called and from whom? That's the big thing. Also, I should probably breakpoint in my own code in various places to make sure that this works. For example, we do this. Oop, that's not right. One line off by one error. Don't mind me. Okay, so we call our own, at which point I am going to hop into here, put a breakpoint here. So we construct the structures, and then we validate the structures. Okay, so each one we construct, we validate. We construct, we validate, in that order, so on and so forth until we are complete. So the root structure, which is the data description itself, which is what this is, should be doing a few things. So it should say IM type, biome info, and that's the top level structure. What happens if this fails? That's my question. If this is garbage, okay, it's just an invalid structure. This seems like a better place to do it. Biome data description. Yeah, it is. Okay. So we want to check that our type is right, and then we need to do our usual. Sorry guys for the kind of craziness that's going on here. Like I said, new subsystems. Get first, no. Get, no. Okay. So the root is called, where'd that go? The root is called, and we pass the substructure to it, at which point it says validate top level, and then validate each substructure. For C4 structure, these should be constant. Structure pointers, structures. I'm having so much trouble typing this thing. It's like, I don't know. It's like some kind of tongue twister for my fingers. Get first substructure. S is not equal to a null pointer. S equals S arrow get next level S. Except that this shouldn't be S. This should be, sorry, this one back here should not be S. This should be structure. So what we're going to do is we're going to check this top level, and we're going to see if a couple requirements get met. Specifically, contains color specifier. Contains height multiplier. And then we also want to make sure it contains the, what other bit of information? Oh, the tree. Contains tree containment information? Contains tree info. We'll just call it tree info. If s get structure type equals k structure color specifier, then contains color specifier is true. If s get structure name, really? No, it's not name. If the type, let's see here. If the type is correct and contains color specifiers and contains the tree info and contains the height multiplier. And I'm actually not too worried about it containing tree info. I actually wouldn't mind if the tree info thing was optional, and that if it just didn't say it, that we didn't worry about it. Okay. For now, we'll keep it as a strict data set, and we'll open it up later. And then biome data should do its own? Really? I feel like I'm missing something here. Like, my understanding of this code is like 75% of the way there, and I'm just missing something big and obvious. Get first subnode. Because validating the top level node, the top level structure, I'm really curious what this means. So let's find someone else who uses it. If it's a variable or a visit or a history or a device. Okay, so it's essentially just meant to say, here's what might be in here, and if it's not one of these types, screw it. Like, throw it out. Or don't even throw it out, just say this is damaged. Okay. Where's that get top level function? Validate top level structure. This is overkill. If this or type equals k structure. Actually, the top level, we should only have biome info on the top level, so let's leave that as is. Whew. It's this validate substructure where we want all of this to live. So not just if it's a data string, but if the structure contains all of this information. Yeah, this is really confusing, if only because we have a lot of functions that are named very similarly and do some very similar functionality to each other. Plus, I'm not 100% sure how a lot of this should look. Right, I've got some vague ideas. I've done a little work on this before, but until I look at examples, I'm kind of flip-flopping and bouncing all over the place, and I apologize for some of the craziness that's going on right now. Hopefully, this will kind of clear up soon, so we know the validation of that property is fine. Hmm. So not if it's a string. Hmm. Because this has a bunch of subtypes to it. You know what? What if we don't do one of these? Because there's not much of a substructure here for us to care about. The only things we really care about are this boolean and this float. Oh. Color is an unreferenced variable. Don't care. We can clean up unreferenced variables another time. Height value, return is of type float. So there's our result. There's our value in there. Okay. F5. The color specifier should be containing a bunch of floats, and this looks fine, right? This should. It's a data structure. Yeah. Okay, so we're getting further. We're making progress, but you're noticing that this error code keeps changing on us. And that's something we should probably hunt down, figure out where and why it's complaining about this. What's its number? 122.921. Sorry. Declaration. 122. 122 is an interesting start. 122.921.957. It is, the identifier is empty. No identifier was found where one was expected. What? What? Tenet, it's really, I don't know. It really depends on your high school and what they go for in terms of their technical prowess. Game design is also its own monster in a lot of ways. And you're watching me debug something in code I've never seen before, which is going to look probably even more crazy. Some of the stuff I do is rote, pure, like, almost muscle memory. And some of the stuff I do is logic that I have to pull from the back of my head somewhere. And some of the stuff like this thing is gonna look uglier than most of the work I do. I've done features here very quick, very clean, that I bet you could even understand, even in its simplest form. But still, some of this stuff, oh my gosh, I'm having trouble identifying some of the crazy stuff that's going on here. Okay. F9. What? Read identifier. Let's figure out what the heck is going on. The identifier is height, H-E-I-G-H-T, and it should be height multiplier. So, there's that problem. Fixed. Ooh. Ooh, what? What's the identifier? Height. Oh. Nope, this is right. Height goes through. That's fine. The structure is full of floats. That's cool. And then suddenly we get this read identifier as empty. What's the identifier? Really? The identifier is still height. So it's this identifier here that it's having trouble reading. H-E-I-G-H-T. Looks good. Am I just honestly failing to spell? That'd be kind of hilarious and stupid all at the same time. It would also be par for the course for some of the stuff I've done. I don't think I need the game world at the moment, nor the game class, nor that. Let's close up some of these extra files that I'm not making use of in the slightest, just to simplify some of this. Okay, identifier is height, H-E-I-G-H-T. That returns true. We say the height equals the result is fine, and if we look at the float value, it's 1.0. It's not negative, we've put the value in. And just to look at the file, yes, this is 3 characters long. That's all we expect out of this. So it breaks out. There's no comma, so we don't keep going. The result is fine. So we're going to advance a character, open up the next piece, which means we're now looking at this right here. Right? We've closed that parentheses, we've opened that curly brace, and we're now looking inside this. Read identifier, okay. We've read our identifier. It is float. We try and construct it. It is of type float, that's fine. Primitive is true. This is where the point where I kind of have to dig through some of their code, figure out what the heck is going on. Validate substructure. That should be fine. It is of type float. There's no name. It's still marked as a primitive, so we tell it to parse the data inside. And we tell it to do that for the float. There's a comma. Oh god, did I put a comma on the end of that? No. No, that looks fine. Okay. Read 1, 2, there's our third float. We break. This is all completely expected. What the heck goes wrong? That's my question. We append the new subnode. The data looks okay. Where are we in the text file? We're at the next specifier. And let's just do one quick double check here. So open and close parenthesis, 2 open curly braces, 2 closed curly braces. These are all comma delimited. There's a comma at the end, and those 2 match perfectly. So this should be fine. I'm not seeing an error. I was looking for basic text errors, and I'm really not seeing anything. Okay, so it's somewhere after that. Oof. Let's put this back in here for a second, just so I can hop back in here. It expects to read some kind of identifier next. And that, instead of getting an identifier, it's reading a comma. State is 1 if the state is 2. So maybe there shouldn't be a comma there? Let's look at our other file. No, there shouldn't. That's our problem. These are extraneous. See, this is the problem with running into a bad parser that, or not a bad parser, it's a great parser. It just doesn't tell you what's wrong. If your data format doesn't match, suddenly you're in all kinds of trouble. So we grab the byte. The byte is... It's less than a... Yes. Okay, and we're back in business. Oh my gosh, all that pain. All that pain. Progress. That, my friends, is progress. Different error code. We're getting there. We're back to, okay, 139836. So 139 is S to start with. 836 1684. Okay, we have a syntax error somewhere now. Ugh. So I'm just going to dump breakpoints in all the places where syntax errors can be returned, and we'll figure out which one it has. So it reads the identifier and then is immediately expecting Can I not give properties to booleans? Oh. Okay. That's interesting. If I can't give a property to a boolean, if I have no way of marking this information, then how do I do this? Okay. I kind of don't like doing it this way, but at the same time, I think this is how I might have to do it. So, Tendernet, the thing I wouldn't worry about, if you look at all my code and all the craziness I'm doing, keep in mind, I'm doing this with 5 years plus another, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 7 or 8 years of game development experience, right? I started at a community college, went to university, I programmed at multiple companies, I did some actual game development for a very short period of time at Crystal Dynamics, doing a game port there. I did about 14 game ports at one job, which meant digging into about a dozen different game engines. I've kind of got the experience to do crazy shit like this. What I would do, if I were you, and looking to get into game dev, but have trouble with those big projects, is build something stupidly small. Pick a language, doesn't matter which one, just not like assembly, but pick a language you like. Make Pong, make Arkanoid, make Asteroids, make, Hunt the Wumpus, right? Simple game. Not even, like, Hunt the Wumpus is great because it doesn't even require graphics. It's a text-only game. I'd look it up. Make a simple project that you learn something from, but has goals that are easy enough that you can complete them. And what you want to do is once you've completed that goal, once you've got that simple little game development project down, take the next step to something that says, let's make something with graphics next. Let's try a Mario clone. Let's do something simple. Because if you try and make just a giant project that you're not ever going to finish, it's just going to be completely demoralizing when you don't finish it and eventually give up. So start small, Start something that you are fairly certain is within your grasp, and then go for it. And best of luck when you do decide to go for it, because I think game dev is an amazing thing to dive into. Whew. All right. I think I know what I have to do, and I think we're almost done. The biome data structure, where is it? Dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Da-dum. So you are going to look at your substructures and do some crazy stuff. Okay, let's see if we can get this as is. Okay, whoops, I also didn't mean to load in a game world. That's not going to work. I think we've seen this before as one of those, like, doesn't exist kind of things. Dum-dum-dum. Let's get a variable. I think I called it, did I call it variable? Value. Value. The circus of value. Okay. This should be our last data structure we have to build, and it should be a fairly stupidly simple one. All we need to do off of this last structure is pull in base data values and pump them in to the kind of class that we want, and we should be done. What's a better paying job, programmer or hardware type positions? I have no idea, honestly. And it really depends on the kind of programming that you do. I've seen system admins who are completely, like, they're set, right? They can keep their job. They have a kind of job stability that I have never seen before. Versus, like, I know hardware positions that get paid pretty well as well. Structure, val, sval. Yeah, sure, that's fine. So it really depends on what kind of programming you want to do. Game programming is honestly not the most it's not the most reliable job, unfortunately, which is how it goes. Name, is that how I structured it? Yeah, name, k data string, name, or val name. What did I call it? Var name. Cool. And then the substructure. We're not going to validate the substructure of this because there's not much to validate. Yeah, let's look at his file real quick. I have a feeling he doesn't do a ton of validation here, or he just pumps it all into strings, which is stupid in my mind. But that's just personal opinion. I like to have my data very clearly set. And if my data isn't set correctly, it drives me nuts. Alright. Getting there, so close, so incredibly close. If the identifier, if the var name equals so if the most obvious one is the ones we already have, right? If it contains trees, then we need to dump this data into the structure above it. biome info container pointer info container. Okay, I figured out how to do this, guys. I got it. I got it. Alright. Data structure. This, cool. So what we're going to do is each time we create a new one of these, we're going to put into our construct function. Where the heck is that? Okay. If identifier value return new value data structure. And what we need to do is the data description that is constructing these needs to have a pointer to the current one. Comparing ages now. Very interesting. Okay. Let's do a quick check. Make sure this is getting called from the place I think it's getting called from. Also, we need to null. We'll start with null pointers in these, and we'll go from there. Info container. Container. Yeah, getting it done. Info container. Also container. And this needs to go in here. Color is an unreferenced local variable. Don't care. That we'll deal with on its own. This runs from, okay, this is inside our execution of the data description. So the data description is the one processing all the text. So we call process text. This calls parse structures. This calls construct structures, which is, once again, still all inside of our code. We validate the information. When we validate the information, that might be a good time to grab what we need. Except we haven't executed anything yet. The problem is we need that offset. We really, really need that offset. Specifically, the offset that we compute right here. That's what we really need. That's what I'm waiting to come back. We do have that information at this point, so we might be able to just kind of make do. Get color at height. Yada, 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 yada. This validate property. I'm just going to kill the code and start it over real quick. We grab the information, we jump in, and we say, here's our type string. It should then fill this type string in pretty much immediately. And let's make sure it's doing that. Here's our text. Here's our primitive value type, whose read string literal. Where's the text? There's the text. Text length, string length. Set the length, read the string literal into the value. And the value now reads, okay, so what's the next thing? When's the next chance for us to get access to this data? That's the question. That is what we're hanging on to, and we're very curious about. Okay, the moment we parse properties, At the end of that parse properties is when we have access to that data. And I can remove that breakpoint because that's not necessary anymore. And then we start parsing the structures on the inside. Okay. I think I know what I have to do to finish this, which is awesome. I'm so glad I'm almost done with this. We're going to jump into here, and that inside process text, there was a parse properties function. It's part of the data description, which is this. Let's find the declaration. You, are you virtual? Oh, you're not virtual though. Ah. I shake my fist at it. So this validate top level structure might be my last hope of finding what I need or getting this right. Validate top level structure. Specifically what goes on in here. I have a bad feeling that that comes after the point at which this information has come in though. So the biome info comes in, and we haven't validated the property yet. That happens immediately after. Oh gosh. Let's see some gameplay. I gotta finish this before I can show gameplay, guys. That's why I'm losing my mind. I really wish, really wish I could show you guys some gameplay right about now. I wish I could see some gameplay, because it would mean I'm done with this. Oh man, I'm here to see gameplay too, and I'm making the freaking game. And yet, the data structure, the data description, I got it. No, dang it, I don't. This being const is really hurting. So the terrain generation isn't 100% complete, but it looks cool, and I could show it to you guys at bare minimum if this worked. I'm just having some trouble getting this working, which is why I'm bouncing around. This is like the one chunk of code that I need to get working before this is done, and I keep like mussing with my hair and trying to figure out what's going on. Whew. Deep breath, Rob. Deep breath. We can figure this out. When we validate a property, we have the data description. And if we look at the GEX importer, here's our metric key. And then we look at the base structure type. When we process this information, we push the data structure around into multiple different types. Get element count. Ah! He does it too. Really? Okay, now I don't feel so bad. Process data. The data description process data function. Okay. Put some breakpoints in. Watch it go. See if we can figure something out here. If you guys are looking for a really good Game Maker game, look up Stealth Bastard Deluxe. Very simple game, but it's a concept that works well in Game Maker. And so something like that is what ends up working out, I would say, the best of all these cases. Okay. We have our offset. We have our offset. We have our I think I finally understand. I think I finally understand. Just maybe. Process data with the data description. And you are indeed a data description. And then I have a biome data structure. Private biome type. Okay. Set biome type. How long have I been working on this game? Since November. Luckily, I haven't been on this one part since November. Otherwise, I would be in trouble. Okay. We grab the data structure. The moment we have a type setting, the first thing we do before we do anything else is we need to actually set this type. Where is it? We need to go into our data description, biome data description, pointer, set biome type. Okay, here we go. Thank you guys for bearing with me. This has been somewhat painful, but hopefully the pain is past. Biome type, offset. Okay, then we are going to dig through each piece of information we have. And of course, I accidentally grab all of my file, which I don't need to do. This has been a almost comedic trial of figuring out someone else's code, and this used to be my job too, right? Like, and I love doing this, I gotta say. It's just a little, it's a little crazy. Alright, so we have the biome data type getting set. Cool. Now, every other piece of data that's coming in needs to know what this information type is. So this is actually incorrect. And the way I know this is because I have seen the light, my friends. Although not the literal light. Yes, there's very quiet music. Very, very quiet. It's Journey for anyone who's actually listening. Although, let's crank that up ever so slightly. Just so... There we go. Now you guys can hear it. Maybe a little better? Alright. Instance of overloaded data structure. What's... Oh. Derp. That's all fine. Don't care about that. Okay. Don't care about you. Do care about you. Okay, so we grab our offset. First big thing we do. and the first correct thing I've done this entire time. So we also know that our data description is a biome data description. So we cast it to the right type, and we're going to set the biome type in there. So now the data description knows that we are a plains biome. From there, we are going to go through each successive structure inside our data and tell it to fill in this structure. For example, we get this first data structure, and it's not actually a string. This is actually incredibly wrong. It's the color specifier data structure. Let's see here. We need to go through each structure and pass it the right relevant info. So you say process data, you say that. Biome info container pointer. I do actually need this in here. Damn it. Set info container to the biome info container pointer. Container equals B. I don't know why I used B for that. Info container. There we go. Good full names. And this is now backwards, which is fine, because now it's the right way. And we're just going to copy, paste, copy, paste. Alright. We go through each data structure that we own. And the only thing left it's a data structure of strings. That's definitely not correct. If the structure exists, yes. If structure